The 1970s and 80s were arguably two of the worst decades for televised animation, being riddled with no-budget, overly sugary, bug-juice shit and toy commercials, sometimes being a mix of both. Well, the actual presence of programming blocks with new cartoons on Saturday morning was beloved at a point because it was special. It was a time before we had our cartoon networks. Sure, waking up to cartoons, sugary cereal, and no school is fun and all, but a lot of the televised cartoon series by themselves do not hold up. Their IPs or characters themselves may be beloved or iconic, but are rarely genuinely critically acclaimed. At a time where nobody with a TV show paycheck was really trying to push the envelope of storytelling. However, in the 90s is really when televised cartoon series were taken seriously by the mainstream for the first time, being reflective of 80s social values where lots of shows were specifically designed to be as safe as possible. With no attempt to challenge its audience, the morals were not unique or cleverly incorporated and were blatantly tacked on in ways that we now find laughable. Morals are a fine thing to have, but there was never enough thought into how they could be incorporated into stories in a way that could actually have an impact on the viewer, trying to cash in on validation of parents of it being a morally okay thing for a child to consume. But when in the process of being safe, providing no danger, and subsequently no challenge for the audience doesn't really benefit anyone in the end. In addition to shows specifically being designed to sell toys, just being shat out the ass of studios and toy makers. I did say some of the original G.I. Joe and He-Man growing up, and the brief moral segments always threw me off.
In today's story, Elena tried taking a magic potion which she thought would help her. Well, she found out there aren't any magic potions. And you know what? There aren't any magic drugs either.
Made me question why those segments were even included.
Gay bar's that way.
Of course, having no knowledge of the social climate of when my parents were my age then.
Chrissy's right. Just because you want something doesn't mean you can take it.
Oh yeah, random PSA segments and shitty stories built around morals you've heard 1,000 fucking times were just something I think we all just kind of tolerated because we liked enough of what was surrounding it. I wasn't alive then, but I grew up watching Full House reruns on Nick at Night, and I've seen the entire series because my aunt had all the DVDs. And even as a kid born in the W. Bush years, I had to learn to tolerate the makeup segment of each episode.
What you did today is the stupidest thing you've ever done.
I've said previously that I hated the Orson's Farm / U.S. Acres segments of Garfield and Friends growing up because those were kind of educational and additionally didn't feature Garfield. A huge flaw in one of the few genuinely great 80s kids shows in my opinion.
Binky doesn't deserve to be in jail.
Hey, let Binky out of jail. I got Ashton Kutcher's signature right here. Yep. You can smell the sadness and pedophilia right there on the dot.
Fat Albert is one of the most infamous examples as to why many of the shows from this era do not hold up. Fat Albert was on the air for 8 seasons over 13 years, and as Dave Chappelle describes, the Cosby Kids were the first black cartoon characters with proportionally drawn lips. But besides that, what envelope did it really push, especially from a storytelling perspective?
Yeah. We're playing hooky to have fun. Now watch my Fat Albert flip-flop. Watch it.
Fat Albert has an episode about prison which displays the flaws perfectly. Well, the episode isn't really even about prison. In a desperate attempt to fulfill a 22-minute runtime, the first 2/3 about the Cosby Kids building a water slide, and then they ditch that idea and get their other friend Larry to give them a ride to the pool. Larry is not part of the main Cosby Kids, and it turns out Larry jacked his ride and the Cosby Kids get in trouble despite not carjacking and have to go to prison to get scared straight. In the original airing, the words hell, bastard, and instances of catcalling were included.
We've used some strong language in today's show, and while it's language you've probably heard before, it's not the kind of language you've heard on the Fat Albert Show.
And the original became lost media until 2022 when somebody managed to track down a master copy in dog shit quality.
These are men in here that are crazy. Men that will beat the hell out of you and never even know they did it. These are men in here that are crazy. Men that will beat the heck out of you and never even know they did it. What are you staring at, you rotten little bastard? What are you staring at, you rotten little...
And on top of this controversy, the episode further gained infamy given the path that Bill Cosby went down later.
Now, prison isn't any fun and it isn't any joke, so play it straight, gang.
adding a completely new layer of delicious irony to the infamy of the episode.
Oh my god, we watched, I showed you a little bit.
Oh, fuck. Did you show him the rape episode?
I only showed him a little bit.
The what?
Explain.
Did you say the rape episode?
And then on the internet, it further gained infamy from a now taken down pirated re-upload titled That One Episode of Fat Albert Where They Go to Prison and Get Raped. But all jokes aside, the fact that this episode went missing for 50 years is a true testament to the sensitivity standards of the Reagan years. Like, Larry is a one-off character that the audience has no attachment to, and like, we're supposed to care that he broke the law, taking away any opportunity for a multi-dimensional protagonist with good and bad qualities. Can't forget the infamous cartoon All-Stars to the rescue, an artistic disappointment of an entire generation, getting all the most popular characters that they could afford not to do something cool, but to tell a moral of not doing crack.
You know, kid, you don't look so good. What's this? A joint?
Shut up, you wabbit punk. No wonder David Slazav hates you.
But lots of 80s kids shows featured beloved IPs, at least. But what happens when a show is so bad, even for 80s standards, that there's been no nostalgic cash-in since? You get Little Clowns of Happytown, one of the worst televised cartoon series from arguably one of the worst eras for them. It wasn't a toy commercial, but nobody's gonna try and tug at your heartstrings using these characters. Like, they don't even have a shitty live-action movie where they go to New York City.
Say, look at this. I've been cleaning out my nest, and I found an old book of my poetry.
We didn't lie to you, folks. We told you we had living, breathing monstrosities. You laughed at them, shuddered at them, and yet, but for the accident of birth, you might be even as they are.
Little Clowns of Happytown is partially lost media, airing for one season from September 1987 to July 1988. It's home media releases, not preserving the entire series. There were 2 volumes on VHS, each with 4 episodes. This was before the age of complete seasons and series box sets, so it was common to get like anywhere from 1 to 4 episodes per tape. Volume 1 later did get a DVD release, but that's the same content. However, the remaining episodes aren't completely lost. Thanks to bootlegging, there exist unofficial Korean, Russian, and Arabian dubs on bootleg DVDs, meaning the companies behind the copyright infringement may possess master copies. So in terms of media preservation, the bootleggers are our savior. The show follows an ensemble of clowns training attempting to make other people happy. And what's making other people unhappy, you might ask? Not any life experiences that could actually be upsetting to a child. It's the villain, Awful B Bad. Just making people depressed because of magic. Fuck it. Now, why is he evil? Because he's a comical mobster with bushy eyebrows, like Dick Dastardly, the Dick Man, baby. He raised Muttley and loves the ladies. That's why.
If his eyebrows are that bushy, can you imagine what his ass crack looks like?
He says the word gloom a lot. That's his method of upsetting people, and it just gets repetitive as fuck.
I'll gloom that little clown so he fails his test. And when he's gloomy...
The circus consists of the ringleader as well as the group leader, Big Top, Blooper, the mandatory group dumbass, Hiccup, who has one joke, and it's that she hiccups all the time.
And with a little imagination, Tickles can make anything work. Okay, now use my weapons. Clown-tastic.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
You better think hiccuping is hilarious. Pranky is the mandatory group prankster gangster. Giggles laughs all the time. Bada Bump is the mandatory group silent character. And Mr. Pickle Herring is the clown gang's teacher. And yes, they go to clown school like Homer Simpson. Awful B Bad additionally has 2 mandatory group dumbass henchmen named Geek and Whiner. The clowns are seemingly a race of people that live in a segregated neighborhood of Happytown, and I guess are seemingly also also immune to this depression magic. There's even an episode where a clown couple adopts an Asian kid, as well as a swimming episode where the makeup isn't smearing, so without exaggeration, this truly is a segregated race of society. And before you start making any clown pussy jokes, Reddit is down the hall and to the left. The way the show builds conflicts around emotion is so oversimplified to the point where it treats kids like idiots. The clowns are seemingly incapable of being upset most of the time, attempting to promote the mindset of always having an optimistic outlook, but with no expense of how the human mind actually works. And you don't need to be a psychologist to know that you just magically can't stop being sad. The clowns are segregated to Happytown, which avoids the reality of the world being not peaceful. And for a show trying to promote not being grouchy, it's so devoid of reality that it hurts its concept. The fucking theme song is so obnoxious with its hip hip hooray nature. And clownimals don't have a clown face on like little clowns, that's how they're born.
And clownimals don't have clown face on like little clowns, that's how they're born!
Or wait, I guess by that logic, they're humans in circus apparel, not their own race. The show never makes that clear. So each episode features the conflict of trying to undo awful B-Bad's negative magic, going to a location with sad children, and B-Bad further doing dumb bullshit to upset children. I guess there's also no police in this universe either. B-Bad hates happiness for no reason. He's bad because he's the mandatory show antagonist. It's also a musical show with at least 2 songs per episode, excluding the 11-minute episodes which have 1 song, featuring rambling about being happy in incomprehensible high-pitched voices.
Clowning around, we'll throw a pie in your face.
Even B-Bad gets to sing.
I'm awful! I'm awful! B-Bad! Oh, get down! We wish that every rotten clown would lose a smile and wear a frown.
The songs rarely advance the plot. They're conceptually relevant consistently, but not that integral to the story on most instances. And by story, I mean lecture on moral you've heard 1,000 fucking times. They also tell a lot of dad jokes with no irony.
Hey, Blooper, do you know what the most expensive fish is? A goldfish!
Like, that's how strategically safe the humor in the show was specifically designed to be. The show additionally does not appear to even know what a clown even is.
Ooh, Chinese food is the clowniest.
Like, what does Chinese food have to do with being a clown?
Clownerific, super clowning.
Okay, stop saying fucking clown. We get it. They're fucking clowns. It's in the fucking title. The show tries to tackle more serious subjects on occasion, but they can't even make a tolerable episode on a basic moral. There's a divorce episode where the son fears that his stepfather will overshadow his father's presence in his life, but instead of any drama in a way that a child could understand, it's just dicking off in the woods while B-Bad glooms people. And then everything is happy. Hip hip hooray. Daddy is still divorced and works 3rd shift at the gas station. The bug juice is especially insulting when they try to inform the audience about people with disabilities. It cannot do as something as basic as distinguish a mental issue from a physical disability.
You and I have a lot in common. We both have disabilities. I can't walk, and you can't be nice. What? But the difference is, my disability doesn't make me a mean person.
Like, being angry all the time is not a fucking disability, and keep in mind, this was written by adults. In the same episode, there's a song about how to try to save somebody from drowning.
Reach out an arm and give them a hand. What if they're out too far from the land? Then throw them a rope and tie it around. But what if there's not a rope to be found? Then row out a boat and help them get on. What if I find the boats are all gone? Then go in yourself, watch out as you do.
And I guess throwing in a lifesaver isn't bad advice, but the song never tells the audience to inform an adult or lifeguard. Yeah, kid, go save your panicking, drowning friend who also weighs 90 pounds. One of the episodes not in English is titled Goodbye, Grandma, and is only available in the bootleg Korean dub and tackles the issue of death. An important thing for children to learn, but maybe it's a good thing it's lost in English. The grandmother of Hiccup and Blooper passes away, but most of the episode is just the typical be-bad glooming shenanigans, with a single scene and song at the end mourning the loss of the clown grandma. One of the kids they help is just Alvin from the Chipmunks with his buck-teeth hat and A shirt. The show, riddled with so much noise and so much sugary crap that it's painful to watch. When teaching morals in relation to emotions, doing nothing realistic, completely destroying any point in the basic objectives of the stories, while being ridiculously formulaic and treating the kids like idiots the entire way through, making all the bug juice of the 70s and 80s good by comparison without exaggeration. Further making it not surprising that the show has been lost besides its 240p shitty bootleg dubs.
They did not ask to be brought into the world, but into the world they came. Their code is a law unto themselves. Offend one, and you offend them all. And now, folks, if you'll just step this way, you are about to witness the most